Hello, I'm Clay, and welcome to the World Stupidity podcast. I'm here with
Nick Sagan.
And I'm Colin Bish.
All right. So it's been a few weeks since we put out a podcast, and in that time we've been watching a lot of soccer.
Lots of soccer.
Lots of soccer, yeah, as you can see here. And we've been currently watching the Copa. Is it Copa?
Yep, Copa America.
Copa America tournament. And so we had the wild idea, the wild hair, to talk a little bit about soccer. I, for one, don't know anything about soccer, but these guys are experts, so you're in good hands. So I'm going to ask the questions, and they're going to give us the answers. Not an expert. Oh, come on. All right. We'll decide that. The readers and the listeners will decide that. All right. So, like I said, I played through 4th grade. It was herd ball. Don't know anything about soccer, but give us your backgrounds in soccer real quick. This is a lightning round.
Real quick, I played competitive club soccer for most of my life.
Roughly the same.
So, all right. Awesome. So, like I said, we're going to start off with some really quick hit questions, kind of give an intro to soccer, and then we're going to get more technical, and then we even talk about the meta game. Mm-hmm. So, real quick, give us an overview of the leagues around the world.
Sure. So there are hundreds of leagues. The big ones are in England.
Yeah.
Probably Spain is a decent league, but the Bundesliga in Germany. And then, of course, there's MLS, our home league.
Yeah.
Right. So each nation has their own league, and then there's more like Europe,
Yeah,
Champions League as well.
Yeah, you've got like the Champions League and
Champions League, but then you've also got UEFA Euros, which are going on right now as well, and that's a country-wide tournament that's fought between the European countries.
Okay, as is the Copa is
right.
America,
the Copa America.
Americas.
Well, the Copa America is actually traditionally just a South American tournament, and since this is Copa America Centenario, which is the 100th anniversary of the tournament, they've opened it up and they've invited 6 CONCACAF or North America and Central America teams. That's CONCACAF is kind of just a quick way to say that group of teams.
So America invaded their tournament, pretty much.
We were invited.
We were invited, but we sort of invaded.
And we're also hosting it.
Well, we invaded, then we said, come over to our house.
That's right.
I think it was probably more like, we'll host if you can let us join.
Right, yeah.
You can use all of our wonderful stadiums. Yeah. Okay.
100-degree heat.
Okay, so we've got each nation has their own little league. Then there's like regional leagues like the European Champions League, and then there's obviously World Cup play and things like that. So that's all different. So what does FIFA govern? Like, and what is FIFA and what does it govern?
Are you talking about like FIFA World Cup or?
What is there?
He's
a
asking
national,
about the organization called FIFA.
Yeah. Is there a What exactly? How do they govern?
You can take this
Okay,
one, Colin.
so basically FIFA is a world soccer governing body. They are in charge of any sanctioned official tournaments, and they are the largest organization that sanctions these tournaments. So they're in charge of the World Cup, obviously, but they're also in charge of the European leagues as well as the country leagues. So if you're playing in a game in England, you're going to have the exact same rules as if you're playing a game in the United States, as if you're playing in Spain. FIFA has regulations that go across the board so that the game is the same.
Okay, and so they have like the governing board of FIFA has representatives from America and from every pretty much major nation that plays.
Right, it's like the UN
soccer.
And all the countries send their own representative to these events and these meetings, so that I can bribe you with more money than he can bribe you with. Now that could be a whole other podcast.
Totally
because
different from the UN.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. FIFA is arguably the most corrupt organization in the world. So we won't get too much into that because that is a rabbit hole that is endlessly deep.
Sounds like we got some homework to do in another podcast. All right. Awesome. So
Did you just draw a dot?
I did. That's how I. That's a
That's actually all
shorthand for FIFA. Yeah. Anyways, so talk a little bit about strategy. Like, I guess team strategy. Like in baseball, I'm a big baseball guy. There's small ball teams who do a lot of bunting and stealing, play great defense. There's long ball teams. Kind of what's the team-wide strategies? What's the different ones you can have?
Well, I mean, Colin could probably go more into detail on this, but it all depends on who you're playing and as well as how the game kind of transforms. Because if you score really quickly and your offense is going great, then you may decide to hammer it and keep going. Depending on the tournament rules and how many points you can get, or you can decide to play defensive if the other team is kind of being strong offensively, and you might just try to tire them out.
So the way I would do it, and I actually have a couple coaching licenses, like lower classes, I can't do
So
anything.
you were legally authorized to talk about soccer. Right?
I am. So the way I usually set up my teams are based on the player strengths of who I have in my team. So who composes the best players. If I have really fast guys, I'm going to put those guys on the wings or the outside of the pitch. And then we're going to play long ball because I think my guys are faster than yours. They're going to get in behind your defense. They're going to be able to control that ball, put it across, and then we'll score in a header. If my team is more tactically advantaged, then we're going to play small ball, and we're going to pass the ball in little triangles up the field while we're moving as a unit. And then we get up there as a team, and someone will eventually take the shot. That's up to the players. You can't be out there screaming at them, but
yes, you can.
Well, you can, but it's not going to be effective at all. It won't.
So, like the football analogy, American football analogy, like you say, long ball is sort of you have your fast guys on the outside, and you kick long shots, and they run them down.
Think about it as like Hail Mary passes versus running it up.
Right, or throwing it to the tight end for 4 yards.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So those are kind of the two major strategies.
Oh, those are two strategies.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're major because every team plays a little bit differently. The traditional style of your formation, you have 11 players on the pitch on each team. So you've got 4 defenders, 1 goalie, 3 midfielders, and 3 attackers. And those 3, that formation could constitute anything with your fullbacks, which are your outside defenders, going up and down the field and running the lanes. Or it could, come out to all 4 of your defenders stay back, and you have a defensive midfielder, your 2 other midfielders go up and join the attack. It can be anything depending on what the strengths of your team is. Mm-hmm. Also, you can change how you're playing in the middle of a game. An interesting kind of example here is a few days ago in the Copa America, Mexico's team went out in a completely different formation than what they finished in because the coach was tactically aware that Uruguay, if you want to, was going to come out and play defensively. Mm-hmm. So Mexico came out in another defensive formation. Within 30 seconds, they switched their tactics just so they came out, showed one thing. Uruguay adapted to that, and then Mexico said, we're going to throw everyone around. And it worked to perfection. Mexico destroyed them.
Mm-hmm. Bit of game theory going on.
Yeah, okay. Lots of different mind games that the coaches can play.
Yeah, think of it as like pulling a Belichick, basically, being able to adapt to the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in that quick tactical or like rule question, can defenders run the entire field legally?
Yes.
Okay, but they just typically don't because of strategy. But
anyone on the pitch can run anywhere on the pitch.
The goalie itself can take the ball and, if he wants to, dribble all the way and score.
Can he run all the way down the field with it?
He cannot.
No, it'll have to be at his feet. It can't be. He can't carry it.
He can't go all LaShawn McCoy and outrun everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Punch her in the face. Well, dang, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be a wrinkle.
It'd be interesting.
That'd be rugby.
Might get America. It might be rugby. Okay, so back to strategy. Do certain teams, certain clubs have a strategy that they kind of employ, and it's just like their brand? Like the Pittsburgh Steelers is smash mouth football. Like does Barcelona have a long ball strategy versus
get the ball to Messi?
Yeah. Well, actually, Barcelona doesn't play get the ball to Messi at all. Yeah. That used to be kind of what people thought. If you watch Barcelona, though, they play very small, very short passes. They play possession. If you watch Barcelona, you'll see them have between 60 to 80% possession, depending on the team they're playing against. And that is a massively lopsided number. Most games end up between 45 and 55% possession per team. So when you see a team like Barcelona playing this crazy, just very safe passing until it gets up into that final third of the pitch, and when we talk about soccer, we talk about thirds of the field. So you've got your defensive third, the center third, and the forward third. When you're looking at the attacking third of the field, that's when Barcelona started to have fun. That's when they start moving up. They start making those dangerous, maybe little risky passes, trying to get the ball through. And they have the best 3 strikers in the world. Not strikers, but best 3 forwards in the world in Messi, Neymar, and Suarez.
Okay. All right.
So, as well as doing that from a player standpoint, it really frustrates the defense and the other team whenever you don't have possession, which can cause you to overcommit and make mistakes, which I think...
And it can exhaust the other team, too.
Which I think Barcelona capitalizes on quite well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I guess the football analogy would be, short passes, and sucking a team in, sucking defense in, and then throwing.
And then like a flea flicker or something.
Right.
Okay.
And the big thing, if you want to make the football reference, this Barcelona team is like having 11 Hall of Famers on the field at a time in their prime.
Right. That's important.
Yeah.
That they can do that. So I guess that's the strategy that works for them. Is that dictated by their players, or is that more of ingrained in Barcelona?
It's a little bit of both,
Yeah.
because a lot of those players come from the academy at Barcelona. Messi, for example, went over to Barcelona from Argentina when he was 6 years old. And he played with that same group of players since that time.
Now that's something that they do all over, right?
They do.
I mean, they have clubs even in here in the U.S., right? I mean, where there's a standout player at a very young age, Barcelona invites them and their family to come over to Spain to train for soccer.
Yeah. No, but unlike the three major American sports, I guess you stay with in soccer you stay with something so long that you get that strategy ingrained in you. Whereas it doesn't really happen.
Right.
In
Well,
baseball,
the
football,
idea
right?
is, I mean, coming from playing is basically to where you can kick it without thinking it, and the player knows exactly what you're doing. These people that you've played with for years at a time, you know what they're doing before anybody else does, to where it's instinct and not sitting and thinking, okay, do I kick it behind me? Will he be there or will he not? And instead they're just...
And you can even see that with the lesser teams around the world. My friend Zach and I played together from age 13 until we went to college. And at the end of that, actually even during college when we came back home, we would be playing soccer and all you need is a look and you know exactly where the other person's going to be. So Zach and I had about 5 years straight of playing together. This Barcelona team, a lot of them have had 15 to 20 years playing together.
Okay, so like the big three that you were talking about earlier, how they played together for a very
They
long
haven't
time.
actually. No. So Neymar started his career in Brazil, where he's from, and he moved around a little bit, but he ended up at Santos, which is a very large club in Brazil, and then was bought by Barcelona. So he was 22, I believe, when he got to Barcelona. Suarez, on the other hand, has a long career, and Barcelona is just a stop on that career.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, and then do certain nations have more of their own flavor? Like, you lived in Germany for a while. Like, is there a certain German flavor of soccer that's radically different from South American soccer?
From South American soccer?
Just any other soccer?
Well, I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, to really elaborate, because everybody kind of adapts to the game basically, except more or less Barcelona just kind of has that standout style.
What's funny about Barcelona and that Spanish national team, though, I can speak to that. Vicente Del Bosque, the head coach of the Spanish national team, he has adapted the Barcelona type quick passes, very short, very possessive play. So whenever you come up against Spain, you're going to see that. Now, in the recent years, that's changed a little bit because their most illustrious passer, Xavi, has retired from international football as well as regular soccer. So he's no longer playing, and he was the guy pulling the strings for the most part.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Very cool. So in soccer, and it seems like kind of very different from other sports, you have people who are, let's say, born in Argentina, then they go at a very early age and somewhere like to Barcelona, to a club, to train, and then they end up playing there, and then in a World Cup they come back home to play for their nation, like their home nation. I guess, how does fandom work with that? Like, does that, where does your loyalty lie, for, I mean, say Messi or just any player, when you've got people jumping all over the globe, and at any point they may score on your country, but then you love them while they play for Barcelona, whatever. So, like, how does that work?
Well, what I've found is that you always root for, at least in Europe, you always root for your home country, regardless. It's not player-based, it's country-based.
It's country-based.
So even the people in Spain will root for Spain, even though their favorite player arguably is probably Messi, even though he's playing for Argentina. Now, that being said, they will still, as long as Argentina is not playing Spain, they will probably be rooting for Argentina.
Because of Lionel Messi.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. So, I'm first and foremost a United States fan. Then I love watching Barcelona play. I picked Liverpool in England because they're a fun team to watch, or traditionally have been. They've been kind of garbage for the past few years, but this year they picked it up again. For the most part, those players will eventually play against the United States, and at that point, I'm cheering against them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Typically, nationality takes over. Nationalism takes over.
And one thing that's different is it's not a massive rivalry. So it's not going to be LeBron going to South Beach, suddenly you hate him. It's more like if Messi and Argentina are playing against the United States, I'm still going to appreciate Messi's talent, even though he's shredding us, and I'm going to be like amazed by what he's doing, but I'm going to hate every second of it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's yeah. It's
Mhm.
good to know just because there's so much movement, it seems like. And then back to the playing together, does that affect like national teams? The guys don't typically play together, I guess.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
that chemistry, like how does that work and how do they
Well, I would
accelerate
say
that?
not necessarily just the chemistry of not playing together, but imagine whenever Messi goes up against his teammates, that he has played against each other, and then that goes into defensive strategy as well as often, denying them the ball and what they're going to do, which makes the World Cup kind of even more interesting to watch whenever you see basically these guys who train together, basically all year round, and then all of a sudden they're playing against each other.
It's like a weird West Virginian family reunion or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
It's like,
Well, and-
last week we were together, but then now I'm playing against him and he's got a beard. And,
Yeah, so an example of that, what could have been actually, Messi didn't play in this game, but the opening for Argentina in the Copa America this year was Argentina versus Chile. And Chile's goalkeeper, Claudio Bravo, is the starting goalkeeper for Barcelona. So it could have been Messi versus Claudio Bravo. And it ended up, Messi was still injured from a previous game. He played last night, and he did fantastic. He came in the 70th minute and scored a hat trick.
Within what, 20 minutes?
It was under 20 minutes, actually. He scored one goal in 3 minutes, another goal 9 minutes later, and a goal 15 minutes
But that
after
one where he hooked around the three walled people, that was...
His free kick last night was
just incredible.
Booming, sizzling shot into the upper right-hand corner of the goal.
And it curved,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like a straight shot. It literally, you can watch it arc around.
Okay. Quick hit. Who has better hair, Lionel Messi or Lionel Richie?
Ooh.
Messi. But I'm a fanboy.
Clearly. It's getting steamy in here. It's getting very steamy for you out there.
I'd agree.
YouTube,
I
man.
think Messi. Although
Really?
I would take
you're
either
not,
one of
not the
their
wet
hairs.
Jerry curl. You're not like the, you don't,
Not a
you're
fan
not
of
feeling
the
the
wet
wet
curl.
Jerry curl mullet.
No, I don't think so. I don't think, no.
Yeah.
Although I do think there needs to be a soccer player that has that.
The wet Jerry
It's
curl.
happened.
I think
that has
I think that
happened.
needs to be brought back.
I think they just need to play more human environments. Than
Maybe a Brazilian can bring that back for us.
Maybe.
Maybe he can. All right, top 5 players. Like we've talked about Lionel Messi ad nauseum. He's definitely there.
Yeah.
Who else?
Well, I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean,
He's clearly
people in the all over the world basically. It's kind of known that Messi's number 1 and Ronaldo is number 2. And how did that one guy put it? It's like Cristiano Ronaldo is the best soccer player that's a man, and then like Messi's. I butchering.
Yeah,
the quote,
so
but
the quote was something like that, and it goes, or Ronaldo is the best soccer, or the best human soccer player in the world because Messi is not a human.
yeah,
So Messi's probably the greatest of all time.
Really?
it's honestly being argued that better than Pele.
Right. Okay.
And the big knock on Messi right now is he does not have a World Cup under his belt. So he's never won a World Cup. That's a big factor when it comes to these kinds of things. You really need to win the big tournament and show that you can be there. He got there last time. Germany beat him out because Germany had a better team. Arguably, I mean, Argentina played very well in that World Cup.
No, they did. But like you said, Germany had a better team. It was the same whenever they go up against Cristiano Ronaldo. Whenever you isolate just that one player, not to say that they only ever had one player, but whenever clearly you have a key player on a team and you isolate him and deny him the ball and deny him opportunity, the rest of the team has a chance to basically fall apart.
The next best players in the world, so we've got Messi, Ronaldo. It gets really tough after that because those guys are miles and miles ahead of the next players. Yeah. So Neymar could be there.
I was about to
Suarez
say
could be
Neymar
there.
could be up there.
What was the short guy that played in England? Kind of short, bald guy. It was really good.
Short, bald guy for England.
Yeah.
You're gonna give me more than that, right?
Yeah, he's a short, bald guy.
What was his name?
I don't know.
Are you talking about the medium guy from England with the skinny body and the great hair named David Beckham?
No, not that guy.
Oh, right.
Are you
We'll get back
sure?
to him on that. We'll get back to him on that. What the heck was his name? I don't know. He did a bicycle kick one time, and I remember. I don't know. This is how much soccer I've watched.
That one
All right.
guy who did a bicycle kick.
Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not bald, but good try. He's not.
He seemed
not.
like he used to be.
No.
But anyways, all right. So is he like in the top 5? I mean,
No.
he seemed like he was decent.
Rooney was very good, but he is not near the top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Paul Pogba from France. He's definitely in the top 5.
Okay.
And he's playing for Juventus right now in Italy, and he will definitely be making a move after the Euros this year. And the speculation is that he will be the most expensive transfer in history. Over 100 million euros just to get him on your team. And that's upfront money. That's not over 5 years.
Some coin. It's crazy. Is it easy to compare players across generations, and how do you do that in soccer? So in baseball, it's very numbers driven, right? Like the home run clubs, the hit clubs, whatever. In basketball, it's hard because the rules and the game's changed a little bit.
About to say,
football's hard. The game has really changed in football, American football. But so how do we compare?
I was about to say this may be a bad comparison, but it's a more popular comparison, saying LeBron is better than Michael Jordan, similar to how Messi is better than Pele. I mean, yes, it's very numbers driven, but you can also argue that the game has changed so much since then. The competition has grown so much steeper, and just because it's a better, well-known game, more money's going into it. So you put more investments in your players to invest in them to make them better.
Yeah, I would say Pele didn't have nearly as tough of competition as Messi and Ronaldo have now. And he still makes the argument that his World Cup victories are more important than anything else. And I would say he's correct in that.
Is he Brazilian?
He is Brazilian.
Yes. So not only did he win World Cups, but you win World Cups for your home country, and that's huge.
How many did he win?
2 or 3.
Yeah. 2 or 3.
I believe it's 2.
Multiple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
multiple World Cups. The number of people that have won multiple World Cups is
very small,
very slim.
Because
Because
you've got you got 4 years later, and everybody's gunning for you.
Yeah, and 4-year interval. I mean, you can age pretty quickly. Yeah, in other sports, I've heard a lot of conversations like, how much better are you than your peers? And like Tiger at his height was worlds above his peers.
Yes.
Like higher, than Jack Nicklaus, who Jack Nicklaus has more majors. Like Tiger was just another stratosphere than his peers at the time, and Jack was closer to his peers. So I don't know if that's
We'll see something. I mean, not to just look at it from a golf perspective, but you see, soccer, you can only be so great with by yourself. But you've got a rest of your team. Messi may be the greatest player in the world, but if he had a terrible team and never got him the ball, you'd never see it. Whereas in golf, everything's kind of on you.
Right.
So that your training directly benefits you, whereas if you're
right. Well, that's one example, but like Michael Jordan versus his peers versus Barkley and Pippen and them, versus LeBron. Like it's hard to compare like LeBron versus Michael, Wilt Chamberlain versus Michael. Like that's a really hard. It's a very hard thing, but just what's the separation? I guess between he and So
yeah,
you said Messi's a god. So
it is very, very tough in soccer to compare across generations because of how much the sport has changed. I mean, you look at George Best from England back then. He's just nothing like the people that we have. They're the greats from the United States, Landon Donovan, or Clint Dempsey. How do you compare those guys to maybe Best or Pelé or any of these guys?
And then at one point, people kind of went crazy whenever Beckham became famous for being able to curve a ball, and now that's kind of common practice.
Well, it was common practice back then, but he was just that much better at it. And the big thing with Beckham, he was actually hated before that. He had a really bad rep as a dirty player and kind of as a bad guy until he started,
dating Posh Spice.
Dating, yeah.
Why not?
But yeah, I mean, also his goals in the World Cup were fantastic, and he has multiple midfield shots that have gone in, and he did amazing things with the ball. So
they made a Disney movie about him, right? Or
it's not Disney. Like it's a weird knockoff, Bend It Like Beckham about.
But Keira Knightley was in it.
Keira Knightley was in it, so
that's always
there we
good.
go.
Now, did he start bending it before or after that?
Before.
Okay. That didn't make it with Keira Knightley. He's like, I'm going to change my game based on this movie.
No, Beckham's been around forever.
Sounds like something I would do, but
you would change your game for Keira.
Whatever. I mean,
I would.
I mean, she ain't
say hi to your girlfriend.
Hello, girlfriend. I mean,
And family.
Yeah. Anyways, so why has soccer not caught on in America?
It's an interesting question.
I mean, obviously it's big, but
why
is it not in the
top
top
think
three?
The big three sports are...
You've got your sports loyalty.
Yeah.
You're going to go into.
And you have legends in those sports from America. Who are your legendary soccer players? Can you name any besides the 2 that I said earlier?
No, I mean, you've got those guys. No, that's it. That's a keeper. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got Tim Howard, you got Tim Howard.
Yeah.
I would say America is catching on to soccer. MLS is growing. We have expansion teams every year. The way to really get the United States more into soccer is by continuing doing what we're doing, building soccer facilities, encouraging coaches to go back or ex-players to go back and get their coaching licenses. Let's get some of these ex-players to go back and really learn more about the intricacies of coaching and then go help the youth. When you get kids interested in soccer at a young age, they're interested until the parents are like, okay, let's go play football because now you can, right? Because my current youth league says you have to be 11 before you can play football. Let's have you play soccer from age 6 till then. So once we get kids interested in soccer and they have great experiences with soccer and they experience winning and being competitive with soccer, I think it's still going to struggle. Another thing about soccer that could be more interesting and something that I wanted to bring up in this podcast is the idea of relegation and promotion. Currently in the MLS we have one league and you cannot be relegated, which means dropped from the league or promoted into the league as a team. In England and in most of the other leagues in the world, you can, if you finish in the top 3 of your league, you are promoted into the next division. And if you finish in the bottom 3, you are relegated into a lower division. Mm-hmm. What if we had that for the NBA?
I remember that was a big deal in Germany, I think, with some of the teams.
Yeah, you have Bundesliga and then Bundesliga 2. I'm just kind of bringing it in for other sports. Can you imagine if the 76ers had tried to play their stupid let's lose every game strategy and they lost their NBA status? They were in the D League the next year. I mean, it would change their strategy entirely. It would make the regular season much, much more important. It would make it not just a race for the playoffs, but a relegation race to see who can not get relegated, because those bottom 3 teams are going to lose a ton of revenue from this. Mm-hmm. And it gives you a reason to watch the lower divisions, because then the D League has real implications where, the Orlando Slam can make it into the NBA next year, or whatever the heck your local team is. That's huge. Then those players are on the big time, and then, they get real TV money and they can sign bigger deals and they get exposure. I think it'd be really crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, in Europe, when that happens, do you have a team with, like, one star player that the team was really horrible, but that star player has to play in the D-League?
No.
How does that go?
So they're always going to negotiate that in their contracts. They're going to say...
So if you guys get demoted...
Yeah, there's a relegation clause that says if you get demoted, I am free from my contract. And I can sign with any other team.
Yeah. Right. Wasn't my fault.
Right. Well, I mean, and the star players... Those clubs don't care. They're going to sign that every time. If you are a relegation-bound team and you can get a star, you're going to get the star. You don't care if he's leaving in 6 months.
That's just a standard piece of the contract.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So back to why it's not as popular right now. There's no stars in America.
There are.
There's no...
But no world stars.
When
you name the top 5 in the world.
Well,
are any of them
right.
American?
None of them are in America, but we have great players. Giovinco, who's a fantastic Italian player, who didn't get called into the Euros because the coach said that if you play in the MLS, there will be consequences. That was his exact line. Really, really terrible, because Giovinco is a fantastic player. Then you've got, it's kind of an old-timers league for great players, though, but you've got Kaká, you've got Pirlo, you've got Didier Drogba. These are the best players in the world at their time.
Now I'd ask, because some of our viewers may not know, when is the MLS season?
Good question as well. MLS season is spring, summer, fall. So it starts in late March, early April, and it finishes in October, which is completely counterintuitive to the rest of the world's soccer schedule.
Right.
The rest of the world is fall, winter, spring.
But I think it's smart for the MLS to do that, because otherwise you're competing with football, and
that's true.
Right now you're never going to have an American go, yeah, I'm going to watch soccer instead of watching football.
So that can play into the popularity as well, as if you have no football to go to, no basketball to watch, you're more inclined to go to a professional soccer game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a question. As I was thinking through some of these questions, we've got at the collegiate level football stadiums that hold 110,000 people, and the collegiate soccer scene is radically different from that, and just the popularity of football, even at the collegiate level, kind of I guess would choke out soccer.
I would say soccer in the United States though is growing, because you see more sellouts in MLS games than ever before this year. You're also seeing higher average attendance for games. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's been
up.
Yeah, it's been rising and rising and rising and rising. So it's been.
Well, I think a lot of that is a point that Colin had earlier. You have more people playing soccer at an earlier age and growing up with it than ever before, because most of the time, even in small towns, it was just, hey, you either play football in the fall or run cross country. Now you have more opportunity, and so the people that are like, I want to do something not to say that cross country is competitive, but like a team competitive, more so than cross country, and less running just for running, and not necessarily the build for football.
Right. Well, and something interesting about the facilities, the smallest country to ever qualify for the Euros did this year. Can you guess who it is?
San Marino.
No.
Wait, what is the question?
What is the smallest country to ever qualify for the Euros? And they did it this year.
Is it in Europe?
Clearly. It has to be.
Andorra.
Vatican City.
Luxembourg.
No. It's Iceland.
Iceland.
Iceland qualified for the World Cup. And they're attributing it mostly to the fact that in the 90s they built a ton of indoor stadiums but indoor soccer facilities.
Because it's cold outside.
Because it's terrible. That the weather there is awful for like 8 months of the year and you have nothing to do. So they decided, all right, let's get our soccer program up. Let's build all these amazing facilities and let's get people playing.
See, I don't think that's what they said on D2 Mighty Ducks. Because they said Iceland is green and Greenland is ice. But
well, that may be so, but the weather can still be bad.
Who needs history and geography when you've got D2
That's right.
to teach the
That's
children?
right.
Poor kids. Yeah.
Well, we are running out of time here. If you wanted to continue, we can.
I've got nothing but time.
You got nothing but time?
Nothing but time, and a dinner date in about 10 minutes.
I was going to say, you've got somewhere to
Yeah,
be.
so, I think we've really hit a lot of great discussion here.
Yeah, and
I'm more educated than I was when I walked in this room, which is a good thing. Sometimes I'm not, sometimes I am.
And we did want to hit this during the Copa America as well as the UEFA Euros. It's going to be an exciting summer for soccer everywhere, and hopefully we get some great action. So tune in. The Euros are all on ESPN. You can watch them anywhere on there. ESPN, Watch ESPN, ESPN3, any of those channels. The Copa America is all on Fox.
See, I was about to say, when is the next, not tonight because America is playing tonight, when is the next game for America for our viewers?
So
chances are they're not going to catch the one that we're premiering tonight. But
so we're recording this on Saturday, what is today? June 11th. June 11th.
Yeah.
The United States plays Paraguay tonight at 7, and this will, if they tie or win, they will move on to the quarterfinals. So we don't have that time or day yet, but once we do, I'll tweet it out and we can get everybody in the know.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.